brave single dad mechanic fixed flat for crying Tina. Her billionaire mum's call changed everything. The rain had been falling since noon, and Marcus Webb was already 2 hours behind. He wiped his hands on a shop rag that had long since given up being clean and ducked under the hood of a 2009 Civic that smelled like burnt oil and bad decisions. The garage Webb's Auto Tire, according to the hand-painted sign out front, wasn't much to look at. 3 bays, 1 functioning lift, a coffee maker that gurgled like a dying engine. But it was his. Every cracked floor tile and flickering fluorescent light belonged to him, bought with 10 years of overtime and the divorce settlement that had left him with the shop, a beat-up Ram 1500, and full custody of his 7-year-old son, Danny. Danny was in the back office right now, doing homework at the metal desk Marcus had dragged in from a yard sale, eating the peanut butter crackers he'd packed that morning because the school lunch program didn't account for late pickups. That was the thing nobody told you about being a single dad. It wasn't the big stuff that wore you down. It was the crackers. The mental math of pickup times and dinner and whether there was enough milk for tomorrow's cereal. It was the way Danny sometimes looked at the empty chair at the kitchen table like he was trying to remember something he'd never actually had. Marcus straightened up, pressed a fist into the small of his back, and heard the bell above the garage door jingle. Not a customer. The garage was technically closed. He'd flipped the sign at 5:30 but the overhead door was still up because the humidity made the Civic's sensors act strange and he needed the airflow. He stepped around the car and saw a girl standing at the edge of the bay, dripping. She looked about 17, dark hair plastered to her face, designer jacket soaked through, one hand clutching the strap of a bag that probably cost more than Marcus made in a month. Her other hand held a phone with a cracked screen, and she was crying in that silent, exhausted way that meant she'd been at it for a while. On the road behind her, half on the shoulder, sat a black Mercedes S-Class with a very flat rear tire. Marcus grabbed a cleanish rag from the bench. "You okay?" She blinked at him like she'd forgotten people asked that question. "My tire," she said. I don't know how to." She stopped, swallowed. "I called roadside assistance but they said 45 minutes and it's already been an hour and my phone is almost dead and I have to." Her voice cracked. "I have to get back before my mom's driver comes and if I'm not there she's going to." Hey. Marcus held up a hand, gentle. "It's okay. Let's look at the tire." He grabbed his portable kit and walked out into the rain with her. She followed a few steps behind, arms crossed over her chest. The flat was on the driver's rear, a clean puncture, probably a nail. The Mercedes had a full-size spare in the trunk, which was either luck or the specific wisdom of whoever had configured the car. "Nice," Marcus said, mostly to himself. "Is it bad?" "Nail fixable, actually, if you want to come back tomorrow with the car. But the spare's good. So tonight you'll be fine." He glanced up at her. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lily." "I'm Marcus. You live around here?" Another hesitation. "Longer." "Sort of," she said finally. "My mum has a place about 20 minutes north." She said it the way people said things they were used to being weird about. Practiced neutrality, like she'd learned early that specifics invited questions she didn't want to answer. Marcus didn't push. He got to work. She stood in the rain and watched him. He expected her to go wait inside. He gestured toward the garage, but she didn't move. He got the impression she wasn't used to people doing things for her without an agenda attached, and she was waiting to figure out what his was. "You don't have to stand in the rain," he said. "I'm already wet." Fair enough. He worked fast. 12 years as a mechanic meant his hands knew what to do without much instruction from his brain. Loosen the lug nuts before jacking, jack at the right point on the frame, swap the tire, torque the nuts in a star pattern. The rain drummed on the trunk lid. Lily watched without speaking. When he was nearly done, the back office door banged open and Danny appeared in the garage doorway in his socks, crackers in hand. "Dad, I finished the math but I don't know if the last 2 are right." He spotted Lily and stopped. 7-year-olds have no poker face. He stared at her openly. "Why is she wet?" "Flat tire," Marcus said. "Danny, Stay under the overhang. Is she okay? Lily blinked. Something about the directness of the question, a little kid just asking, no filter, seemed to catch her off guard. Yeah, she said. I'm okay. Dad fixed it. He's fixing it now. Danny nodded, apparently satisfied with this assessment of his father's capabilities. He's really good at tires, he said. He fixed my bike tire too, and Grandma's car, and Mrs. Petrovich's van, even though she's kind of mean. Lily laughed. It was a short sound, surprised out of her, and it changed her face completely. Marcus lowered the jack and stood up. All done. She turned back to him. The laughter had faded, but something soft remained. How much do I owe you? Nothing. It took 15 minutes. That's not I have cash. I can Lily. He said her name simply, no edge to it. It's fine. Drive safe, watch the spare on the highway, don't go over 55 with it. She looked at him for a long moment. He had the sense she was trying to understand something, like she was translating from a language she didn't quite speak yet. Then she nodded. She was getting into the car when her phone rang. Even from 10 feet away, Marcus could see the name on the cracked screen, Mom. Lily answered it. I know, I'm sorry, I had a pause. Her posture changed. The softness closed back up like a wound. No, I'm fine. I'm on my way. The tire, there was a mechanic. He helped me. Another pause, longer. Her eyes flicked to Marcus, then away. Yes, I'll tell you when I get there. She ended the call and sat for a moment with both hands on the wheel. Then she got out of the car again. Marcus was already walking back toward the garage, hand raised in a wave, but she called out, wait. He turned. She was standing in the rain again, phone in hand, looking at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. My mom wants to talk to you. He almost laughed. What? I know it sounds strange. She wants to thank you herself. Lily extended the phone. Please. She'll be upset if you don't. Marcus looked at the phone. He looked at Danny, still standing in the overhang with his crackers, watching with the focused attention of a child who understood that something interesting was happening even if he couldn't name what. He walked back and took the phone. Hello. The voice on the other end was calm, precise, and carried the particular quality of someone accustomed to being listened to, not loudly, not aggressively, but with the easy certainty of a person for whom attention had never been something they had to fight for. Mr. A ? She started. Webb. Marcus Webb. Mr. Webb. A beat. My daughter tells me you helped her tonight in the rain, without being asked and without expecting anything in return. It wasn't a big deal, he said. A pause. And then, quietly, with something that sounded almost like wonder, it is. Actually, it's a very big deal. You'd be surprised how rare it is. Marcus didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing. I'd like to meet you, she said, if you're open to it. I think I owe you more than a phone call. The rain fell. Danny ate his crackers, and somewhere between one breath and the next, Marcus Webb's ordinary Tuesday stopped being ordinary at all. Marcus almost said number. That was the truth of it. The part he'd turn over in his mind later while lying awake listening to Danny breathe through the baby monitor he still used even though Danny was 7 and would be mortified if he knew. He almost said thank you, but that's not necessary in the polite, deflecting way he'd learned to decline things that felt too large for the life he'd built. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way she'd said you'd be surprised how rare it is, not flirtatiously, not manipulatively, but with a kind of tired honesty that didn't fit the image he'd already assembled in his head. Billionaire. S-Class Mercedes. A daughter who wore jackets worth a month of his rent and said my mom has a place, like she was embarrassed by the understatement. He'd expected performance. What he heard instead was something that sounded a lot like loneliness. Sure, he said. I'm open to it. She came to the garage. That surprised him more than anything. He'd assumed she'd send a car, or a representative, or an invitation to somewhere with a dress code he'd have to Google. Instead, at 10:15 the next morning, a Saturday, Danny at his mother's for the weekend, a black SUV pulled into the Webb's auto tire lot and a woman got out alone. She was younger than her voice. Early 40s, maybe, with dark hair like Lily's pulled back simply, wearing jeans and a jacket that was expensive the way well-made tools were expensive, built to last, not to be noticed. She looked at the hand-painted sign above the garage with an expression Marcus couldn't read, and then she looked at him and put out her hand. Claire Ashworth. He shook it. Marcus Webb. You want coffee? Fair warning, the machine sounds like it's in pain. Something shifted at the corner of her mouth. I'll risk it. He poured 2 cups and they sat on the mismatched chairs outside Bay 2, the ones he kept for customers who wanted to wait. And the October sun did its best against the cold. She wrapped both hands around the mug and looked at the lot. Lily told me about the little boy, she said. Your son, Danny. He's 7. She said he asked if she was okay. A pause. She talked about that more than the tire. Marcus smiled at his coffee. He doesn't have much of a filter. Number. Claire looked at him. She doesn't have many people in her life who ask that. Just ask. I mean, without it being part of something else. She's 17, 16. A small correction, gently made. She'll be 17 in January. She seemed like she'd been alone with a problem for a while before she got to me. Claire was quiet for a moment. The coffee maker groaned distantly from inside the shop. That's a perceptive thing to say. I've got a kid. You learn to read it. She turned the mug in her hands. He got the sense she was deciding something, weighing it, and he had enough respect for the process to let her do it without filling the silence. I built my company when Lily was 4, she said finally. Logistics software. Incredibly boring to explain at parties. The ghost of a smile. By the time she was 8, we were in 12 countries. By the time she was 12, I was on magazine covers. She paused. I told myself it was for her. The security. The future. I told myself that a lot. And now she drives herself home in the rain because she knows my schedule and doesn't want to be a disruption. Claire said it evenly, but it landed hard, the way true things did. She is 16 years old and she has already learned to make herself smaller so the people around her can function. Marcus didn't say anything for a moment. Kids are good at that, he said. Learning what the house needs from them. Is that what happened with you? The question was direct. He appreciated that. Little bit. Different reasons. He looked at the lot, the cracked asphalt, the patch job he'd been meaning to fix for 2 years. My dad left when I was 9. Mom worked nights. I learned pretty quick that needing things was expensive. And yet here you are, Claire said, fixing tires for crying teenagers in the rain. Seemed like the thing to do. She studied him. Not in the evaluating way he'd braced for, the way wealthy people sometimes looked at him, tallying, categorizing. More like she was trying to understand how a person got from the to here and came out the way he had. I want to do something for you, she said. Not as a transaction. I know that probably sounds absurd coming from me, given she gestured vaguely at herself, at the SUV, at the accumulated evidence of what she was. But I mean it. I'm not trying to buy something. What did you have in mind? The shop, she said. I looked it up this morning. You've got a small business loan you've been servicing for 6 years. 2 more to go. I'd like to pay it off. Marcus put his coffee down. I'd also like to fund a full equipment upgrade, she continued. The lift on Bay 3 is rated unsafe by the county. The diagnostic system you're running is 12 years old. There's a grant program I sit on the board of that supports independent mechanics in underserved areas. Your shop qualifies 3 times over. I can have the paperwork started Monday. Miss Ashworth. Claire. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I appreciate that. I genuinely do. But I didn't fix your daughter's tire to get something out of it. I know you didn't. That's why I want to do it. He looked at her for a long moment. She met it without flinching. There's a difference, she said quietly, between charity and recognition. I'm not looking at your shop and seeing a problem to solve. I'm looking at a man who works alone, raises a child alone, and still finds it in himself to stop at 10 o'clock at night for a scared kid who isn't his. That deserves more than a thank you call. She paused. And honestly, I could write a check and be done with it. I came here myself because Lily asked me to. That stopped him. She did, she said. Claire looked out at the lot, and for a second he saw it, the thing underneath all that composure. She said, Mom, He's the kind of person you should know." She said it like it was obvious. A breath. My 16-year-old daughter, who has spent the last 4 years learning to be invisible in her own life, came home last night and told me I should know a man she spoke to for 20 minutes in the rain. Marcus picked his coffee back up, held it, said nothing. "So," Claire said, "I'm here." He accepted the loan payoff, not the equipment grant, not right away. He told her he'd think about it, and she nodded like she'd expected that, like she respected the pace of it. They sat outside Bay 2 for another hour, not talking about money. She asked about Danny, and he told her about the bike tire, about the math homework, about the way Danny had recently become obsessed with weather patterns and narrated every cloud formation on the drive to school. She laughed, and it was a real laugh, unpolished, and he decided he liked her. He asked about Lily, carefully. She told him about the boarding school Lily had hated, the tutor she'd accepted, the way she'd taken up photography last year with the quiet, private seriousness that Claire had noticed but not commented on because commenting felt like intruding. "You might try commenting," Marcus said. "Kids usually want you to notice, even when they act like they don't." She was quiet for a moment. "I know," she said. "I'm learning." Before she left, she paused at the door of the SUV. "Lily wants to come back," she said, "to get the tire patched." And I think she stopped, seemed to choose her words. "I think she wants Danny to tell her more about the clouds." Marcus smiled. "Tell her Saturday morning." "I'll put the coffee on." Claire Ashworth nodded once. She got in the car. She drove away. He stood in the lot for a while after, in the October sun, listening to the neighborhood, a dog somewhere, a radio from the shop next door, the ordinary sounds of a life that had, without much warning, quietly cracked open to let something new in. He went back inside. He put the coffee on.